Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Rama Hare Hare Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Hare Krishna. So today we will be celebrating Govardhan Puja. While the preparations are going on for my purification with the blessings of all the assembled devotees, we would like to discuss a few points about this wonderful festival. Lord Shri Krishna, when he performs these pastimes, there are so many objectives which are achieved by it. And from these pastimes, there are many lessons that we can learn. One common thing is that whenever there is a crisis, whenever there is a situation which was not expected, whenever we are put into difficulties, at that moment, how we face those situations is most important. And from these pastimes we can understand that whenever there has been a provocative situation, if the entire process of addressing that situation is by surrendering to Lord Krishna, then the results are amazing. What could have been a very difficult situation in the end turns out to be a very nice situation. This is the essence. This is the essence not only which we will see in this pastime, but this is the essence that we have to imbibe in our lives and understand that no matter what the situation is, if we try to solve that problem on our own, thinking that we will be able to solve it, most of the time the situation will only become worse. But the moment we understand that the only way we can solve this problem is by surrendering to Lord Krishna, we can see in the examples of Draupadi. She tried her best. She depended on her 5 husbands. She depended on her hands. She depended on her teeth. She tried to protect herself in many ways. But ultimately only when she raised her arms and says, "Hey Govinda," then the entire situation was changed. So also, in every other situation, our only recourse is to take shelter of Lord Krishna. Today, we will be celebrating the Govardhan Puja. What is the history of this Govardhan Puja? In spiritual life, the perfection is to follow what our acharyas have done. So we can see that starting with Madhavendra Puri, Ishwar Puri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, 6 Goswamis, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, our own Param Guru, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. They have all performed this parikrama, the Govardhan Puja. In fact, Srila Prabhupada, towards the closing of his worldly leela, when he was physically only skin and bones, his desire was to perform this parikrama. His disciples thought it would be too much of a strain for him. However, after his disappearance, his murti was taken on a parikrama of the Govardhan hill. So one of the most important aspects of our devotional services, of our devotional life, is to follow in the footsteps of all these acharyas. What is this Govardhan? It's a hill. It's a hill in Vrindavan. But to know more about it, we can understand from Garga Samhita. In Gopal Champu by Srila Jiva Goswami, it is described that when baby Krishna, who was tied to the mortar, and he pulled the mortar through the 2 gigantic trees, and when these 2 Yamalarjun trees fell down, and 2 celestial beings came out of it, these 2 were Madhukanta and Snigdhakanta. Madhukanta and Snigdhakanta, just as there are some kings who have court jesters. That means the job of this court jester is to just make people laugh in the court and tell them some stories. But Madhukanta and Snigdhakanta were in the court of Nanda Maharaj. And they were transcendental jesters. They would only speak about the glories and the pastimes of Lord Krishna, and they would do it in tandem. One would ask a question, the other would answer. There would be some very light way of talking about it, some jokes. This is the way they would narrate the pastimes of Lord Krishna. So from these 2 sources, we understand that from Garga Samhita, it is explained that there was a king. His name was Bahulasva. He was the king of Mithila, Vaideha. In his kingdom, there was also a very poor householder Brahmin by the name of Shrutadev. Both of them were devotees of Lord Krishna. And once, Lord Krishna asked his chariot driver Daruka to take the chariot to Mithila. Along with him there were the sages, Narada, Atri, Vyasadeva, Maitreya, Brahaspati. So they all went to visit King Bahulasva and of course Shrutadev. King Bahulasa invited Lord Krishna and made beautiful arrangements, royal arrangements. Along with Lord Krishna invited all the sages also. Shrutadev also in his own way, in his own humble way, he invited Krishna to his place. And he had very simple arrangements like straw mats, and his wife cooked a few simple items for prasad. He was personally dancing to welcome Krishna. Krishna, of course, expanded himself and he was present at both the places at the same time without each other knowing that he was there. So after this, Narad Muni stayed back to give some association to King Bahulasva. And while Narad Muni was there, King Bahulasva inquired from him, please tell me this pastime where this 7-year-old young boy picked up a huge mountain as if he was picking up a mushroom, or as if an elephant was picking up a lotus flower with his trunk. Can you please tell me more about this? So Narad Muni explains that in Vaikuntha Loka, there is a area known as Krishna Loka, Goloka. And over there, Lord Krishna, along with his associates, Srimati Radharani and the other Gopas and Gopis, he was performing his pastimes. And one day, Srimati Radharani asked him, my Lord, if you are pleased with my devotional service, if you are pleased with the love that I am offering you, then my humble request is that please make an arrangement of a beautiful place where we can have our pastimes. And immediately, there and then, in front of everyone, within the sight of all the Gopas and the Gopis who are standing there, from the heart of Krishna, a drop of fire and water came out. And it fell on the ground. This drop became a pebble. The pebble became a stone. The stone became a rock. The rock became a hillock. And while everybody was watching, the hillock became a mountain, beautiful mountain, with many beautiful caves, waterfalls, so many beautiful trees with flowers. This was Govardhan. This was Govardhan as it appeared in Goloka. Now the question is, if Govardhan was in Goloka, then how come Govardhan is in Vrindavan? You may say that every year when we go for parikrama, we go and take darshan of Govardhan, we go and do parikrama of Govardhan. how come the Govardhan is here on Bharat Bhumi? Nanda Maharaj had the same question. And he asked Upananda. And it is said that King Pandu also asked this question of Bhishma Pitama. They were curious. They wanted to find out, like even we would like to know, how come Govardhan is here? So it is explained that when it came the time for Krishna to come on this planet Earth, he requested Srimati Radharani that now we have to go. Srimati Radharani said, I'll be most happy to go with you wherever you ask me to go, but if there is no Govardhan and if there is no Yamuna, I am not coming with you. I'll stay back here. Krishna said, how can you even think that I could not have made these arrangements already? I myself will not go if Govardhan and Yamuna are not there. And already I have made arrangements that Govardhan and Yamuna are both there. So now, please, let us go and perform our pastimes. Well, Krishna said it, but how did Govardhan come here? It is said that in the island of Salamali, there was this mountain by the name of Dronachal. The wife of Dronachal gave birth to a beautiful baby mountain named Govardhan. Yes, in those days, mountains would have wives and they would have kids. They could fly. They could move from one place to another place. But then Lord Indra saw that these mountains are creating some disturbance, so he cut off their wings. Once he cut off the wings, they became fixed, and that is why now they are known as Achala. They cannot move. Him Achala. Vindhyachala. They cannot move now. So be it, but at that time, Govardhan was such a beautiful, beautiful baby. And everyone knew that he has come straight from Goloka. So when he was born, all the demigods, they showered their blessings on him. They came down and they circumambulated and they said, this is the crown jewel of Raja. So one day, there was a rishi by the name of Pulatsya. He was visiting Salmali. He was originally from Varanasi. And when he was about to leave that place, it was very natural and normal. Even now it is that when a saintly person comes, when he is leaving, the host gives him some gift, some dakshina. So at the time when he was leaving, Dronachala, he asked him, how can I serve you? Next time you ask this question, please be very careful. Because Pulatsya Muni said, in Varanasi where I perform my bhajan, it is a flat land. And I'll be very much obliged if you can make some arrangement for me to have a small hill over there. And then he said, can I take Govardhan with me? Dronachal, for him, Govardhan was his heart and soul. But he could not refuse because he had himself offered, how can I serve you? So this is how Pulatsya Rishi wanted him to serve. So with a heavy heart, he said, I do not mind, but please ask Govardhan. If he is willing to come, then I have no problem. Dronachal was thinking maybe Govardhan will say, no, no, Papa, I cannot go, or something like that. But Govardhan had taken birth only to serve Krishna. So he saw this wonderful opportunity and he said, yes, I will go with you. But how will you carry me? He said, I will carry you on my hand. I have got enough mystic powers. I have got that Shakti, I can carry you. He said, great, if I am getting a free ride, I have no problem. But there is one condition. You have to take me straight to Varanasi. Don't put me down anywhere. If you put me down anywhere, I will not move from there. Pulatsya Rishi said, easy done. So he lifted him on his hand and he was flying from Sharmali, western area, and he was going towards Varanasi. Govardhan had a single point agenda. He knew what he wanted. He wanted to be transformed from Sharmali to Vrindavan. So as soon as Pulatsya Muni came over Brajabhumi, by his inconceivable mystic powers, he created such a situation that Pulatsya Muni had to answer to the call of nature. And you know how the call of nature is. Radhanath Swami describes it very vividly. First it starts like a whisper, and then gradually it increases, and then a point comes when it's beyond control. So this exactly was timed in such a way that that last moment of beyond control would come exactly when Pulatsya was above Brajabhumi. So he told Govardhan, excuse me, but can we take a break? He said, I have no problem. So he placed Govardhan and he went for his ablutions, purified himself, came back, said, let's go. Govardhan said, where? Don't you remember my promise? I had told you that if you place me anywhere, I will not move from there. Pulatsya Rishi became very angry. He said, I will curse you. And he cursed him. He said, every day you will reduce in size as much as the size of a mustard seed. So, you may think that this was a provocative situation, right? For somebody to become small and extinct. But Govardhan was very happy. He said, thank you very much. Because Govardhan was in his heart thinking that I am so huge. How will Krishna be able to perform his pastimes? I must reduce my size. So by the time Krishna comes on this planet to perform his pastimes, I will be in a very correct size where he can easily come on me and have his pastimes. So in his heart, Govardhan was very pleased with the curse of Pulatsya Muni. And true, we can see today that the Govardhan is reducing in size. It was once upon a time 6 yojana high, 5 wide, 4, but now it is coming down and down and down. Govardhan had come only to give pleasure to Lord Krishna. our Goswamis explain that the internal reason why Govardhan is reducing in size is because of the separation he is feeling from Lord Krishna. That is why he is losing weight and becoming small. So some of you, if you want to lose weight, this is a good suggestion. Now, who is this Giriraj? Who is Govardhan? In the words of Srimati Radharani, Govardhan is the supreme-most servitor of Lord Krishna. She calls him Haridas Varya. There are many Haridasas. Yudhishthir Maharaj is a Haridas. Uddhav is a Haridas. But she calls him Haridas Varya. That means one who is the best amongst the servitor of Lord Krishna. And who is saying this? One who is actually the best servitor of Lord Krishna, Srimati Radharani, who is a Ladini Shakti. Anyone who wants to offer any service to Krishna has to ultimately go through her. So she knows who is the best servitor. And she is certifying and she is saying that Govardhan is Haridas Varya. Why do we say, or why does she say that Govardhan is Haridas Varya? It is not that she is out of some partiality or some sort of a favor to him that she is saying it. She is saying it on the basis of his activities. What does Govardhan do? Not only does he serve Krishna and Balaram, but he serves all their devotees. That is why he is Haridas Varya. Many may serve Krishna, but those who serve his devotees is the best servant. So as Haridas Varya, Govardhan is exhibiting Ashtasattvic Vikara. That means these are the signs of ecstasy which a devotee exhibits. We will only take the three prominent ones. Which are the three prominent Vikaras? Hair standing on end, unlimited tears, and perspiration. On the body of Govardhan, there are millions and millions of grasses. These are the hair of Govardhan which are standing on end in ecstasy. These hair, the grasses, have four very special qualities. Sugandha. They emanate ambrosial fragrance. Sukomala. They are very soft. When Krishna, Balaram and the Gopas, when they are out there playing or they are herding their calves, the grass is like a velvet carpet. It makes such a soft ground for them to play on. And it is so soft, it is so sukomala, that the cows, when they chew on it, it doesn't hurt their mouth. It is also pushtivardhaka. It gives nourishment to the cows. They don't fall sick. They don't feel hungry or thirsty, and they can never catch any disease. The fourth quality of these hair of Govardhana, the grasses which are standing on end, is Dugdha Sambhaka. The cows who eat this grass, they give such ambrosial milk that Yashoda Mai, Srimati Radharani and everyone else, they prepare the best preparations of sweets for Krishna from this milk. And friends, these grasses are not watered by rain. Because the cows are so happy, their udders are full with milk and the milk is flowing and the grass is being watered by the milk of these cows, by the milk of these Surabhi cows. It is said that the demigods in heaven, they send their horses to feed on this grass at Govardhan. And the sun rays, they are making this grass so wonderful, so full of nutrition. Then there are the tears which Govardhan is constantly shedding, which is in the form of the rivers, waterfalls, ponds, and all these water bodies on Govardhan are nothing but is liquid prema, which is flowing in the form of water. The third vikara is perspiration. The dew which forms on Govardhan is his perspiration out of ecstasy. The stones of Govardhan in summer, they become cool. And winter, they become warm. So that Lord Krishna, when he places his feet on them, all he experiences is pleasure. So much so, that even the thorns which are there on Govardhan, gopis are thinking, they are meditating all day. How can Krishna, who has such soft lotus feet, be walking? And what if some thorn pierces him? But Govardhan is Haridas warrior. He makes sure that if there is any thorn, and if Krishna happens to put his foot on that, it becomes as soft as a petal of a rose. So with all these devotional services, he is also performing puja all the time. When we perform puja, there are these items that we require. First of all, there has to be a seat on which you welcome the Lord to come and sit. So that seat is made of thick slabs of jewels. And the welcoming which is given to the Lord and his devotees is by the singing of the birds. And arghya is offered to him with rice, durba and other things. Achman is offered to him with nutmeg, cloves and so many other spices. His feet are washed with the water which is flowing in these nectarian streams. He is offered beautiful, beautiful bark of a tree which is so thin and soft and pleasing when it comes in contact with the body. Beautiful garlands by the strings of jasmine. His ornaments which are made from all the beautiful jewels like opals, rubies and diamonds. The cosmetic which is made by grounding the items like agru and other things with the stones, are offered to Krishna. And the food is offered in the form of fruits and roots. After that, once again, achman is offered. And most fragrant tulsi leaves as mukhwas. And after that, when it comes for the time to rest, the bed is made from beautiful petals of the flowers, which is so soft. And the songs are sung to put him to sleep like lullaby. And these songs are sung by the cuckoos over there. The bakula trees, with their branches loaded with buds of flowers, they shade that area. And the sala trees, they move, they fan that area. This is the type of puja that Govardhan is offering constantly. Giriraj is very compassionate to all human beings. By making these wonderful arrangements for Lord Krishna and his associates to perform their pastimes, he is setting the stage so that these pastimes will in future be narrated to people, and everyone, their hearts will be purified by listening to these pastimes. So he is arranging those situations where those pastimes can take place. And the last thing is, Govardhan, Haridas Varya, is not only the greatest of all devotees of Krishna, but he is Krishna himself. We will see this in the pastime of Govardhan Puja. Govardhan deity is the most spectacular deity in this entire universe. When our devotees welcome deities, first question we ask is, Gaurnitai or Radha Krishna? Okay, Gaurnitai. What name was given? Okay. What is the size? That is one of the important questions. Is it 4 inch? Is it 6 inch? Is it 1 foot? How often will you dress him? How many offerings will you make in a day? So what is the size of this deity, Govardhan? Miles and miles long. In this entire universe, every deity has a curtain which is closes the sight of the deity. Govardhan is the only deity where the curtain never closes. Darshan is open 24 hours a day, every day of the year, every day of your lifetime, the darshan is open. He is so compassionate, so compassionate. So, the description of Govardhan is that it is in the shape of a peacock. The face is the Mukharavinda. The two eyes are the Radha Kund and Shyam Kund. The neck is the Dhanagati. And then there is the Puchdi. How many of you have been to Govardhan? Have you seen Puchdi ka lota? That is the Puchdi part of it. At Dhanagati, Krishna performs so many beautiful pastimes. What to speak of Shyam Kund and Radha Kund? On this planet Earth, they are the most auspicious places. The process of performing the parikrama of Govardhan it is given in the Shastras, is to start at the Haridev temple near Mansi Ganga. That is the starting point. Once, the Braja Gopis were feeling separation from Krishna. So at that time, Lord Krishna, out of his compassion for them, appeared before them in a beautiful, beautiful form, lifting the Govardhan. The gopis would meditate on this form, and about 5,000 years back, Brajanath, he established this deity of Haridev near Mansi Ganga. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he performed the parikrama, he started by going and taking darshan of Haridev. And while he was there, he was dancing in ecstasy and singing kirtan, and all the Brajavasis were enamored and they were just watching him, and he was just singing Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Since this Haridev temple is located at Mansi Ganga, we will speak a few words about Mansi Ganga. Once upon a time, there was a demon. His name was Pramilasur. Now this demon had conquered most of the demigods, and when he was going through one place, he saw an hermitage. That was a hermitage of Vashishta Muni. Now this demon had heard that Vashishta Muni has a cow whose name is Kamadhenu cow. And this Kamadhenu cow provides everything to Vashishta Muni. She is a wish-fulfilling cow. There is nothing that she cannot provide. So he, as is the nature of all demons, they want to possess everything, so he wanted to possess this Kamadhenu cow. This cow would give so much milk, so much ghee, and every other thing that he wanted. So he thought of transforming himself into Brahmana and begging something from Vashishta Muni. Because everybody is very charitable towards Brahmanas, and whatever they ask, mostly people give. So he transformed himself into a Brahmana, and he was approaching Vashishta Muni. But at that time, Vashishta Muni was observing a Maun Vrat. He was not talking. So Vashishta Muni's cow, whose name was Nandini also, he had another cow. This cow Nandini could make out that this Asura, this demon, is not a Brahmin. He has only come in the form of a Brahmin in the disguise. So she challenged him. She said, "You are not a Brahmin, and you have come here with the intention of stealing this Kamadhenu cow." And she said, "I will curse you. I will curse you, and you will become a baby calf." Hare Krishna. The Asura had no recourse. He accepted the curse. He said, "Lord, please do something about it." So she said, "Okay. In Dwapar Yuga, you will participate in Lord Krishna's pastime as Vatsasur." So when Krishna and Balram would take their cows for grazing, one day Krishna noticed there's a very beautiful looking calf which has mixed with the other calves. This, he knew, is a demon, Vatsasur. So quietly he told Balaramji, "You see that calf? It doesn't belong to us. It is not one of our calves. You just watch and see what I'm going to do." He held the calf with the hind legs, swinged it in the air, and threw it up in the sky. When he fell, the demon died. Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki! That was the end of Vatsasur. But it was the beginning of another story. The Gopas, please understand one thing. The relationship between Gopas and Krishna is not that of God and devotees. It is the most sweet relationship of friends, of equals. They play games together, they laugh together, they eat together, they dance together. Sometimes when there are two teams, one team wins and the other team loses. So the team which loses has to carry the member from the other team on his back. And that is the punishment for them. So sometimes when Krishna's team would lose, he had to carry somebody on his back from the other team. So one day Krishna thought, why should I carry this? I am the son of Nanda Maharaj. I am Nanda Kumar. Why should I carry somebody else on my back? He said, no, I am not taking you. He said, look, if you are a son of a king, that may be at home. Huh? Over here we are all equals. And if you don't do this today, from tomorrow don't come and play with us. You go and make your own team. We will not play with you. This was the type of relationship they had. And this is what Krishna loves the most. This is what Vrindavan is all about. It is not about awe and reverence. Krishna can be conquered only by such loving exchanges. When gopis chastise him, he prefers those words of chastisement compared to the Vedic hymns and the stutis which the sages sing for him. So these friends, they said, Krishna, you are a Gopal. Gopal means one who takes care of the cows. And just now, in front of us, you have killed a calf. We are not playing with you. You have performed a sinful activity. So, until and unless you perform such activities that will absolve you of your sins, we will not touch you, we will not eat with you, and we will not play with you. Krishna said, okay, tell me, what should I do? You go to Ganges, take a dip, wash all your sins, and come back. Krishna said, okay. In his mind, he invited Mother Ganges. She appeared before him immediately, and she filled this kund and became Mansi Ganga. Now this Mansi Ganga, which is in Vrindavan, we all know that all our sins can be easily washed by taking bath in the river Ganges. But when that river Ganges comes to Vrindavan, the effect is 1,000 times more purifying. And friends, we all know that if you take any activity, any devotional service during Kartik, you get 1,000 times the effect of that. So can you imagine if we take one drop of that water during Kartik, how much we will be benefited? 1,000 times because Mansi Ganga is a Ganga in Vrindavan, and 1,000 times because you are doing it in Kartik. Vrindavan Dham Ki! So at this Mansi Ganga, there are many pastimes which Lord Krishna performed. I think today we'll speak about everything else except the Govardhan Puja, because I have to end at 12:30. So at Mansi Ganga, once Krishna played the role of a boatman. And one night, there was a dilapidated, broken boat. He disguised himself as a boatman, and he made sure that no other boats are around. He was the only boatman there, because he knew something is going to happen. He was anticipating something. And sure enough, in a few minutes, the gopis came with their pots full of ghee and yogurt and butter. They said, boatman, boatman, we want to cross this river. My boat is dilapidated. I cannot go. Please, please, boatman, there is no other boat. Okay, how much will you give? So there was some bargaining. Finally, the price was decided. Then the gopis get into the boat. Once they get into the boat, he starts rowing. And in a few minutes he says, you know what? I'm feeling very hungry and thirsty. So you please take all this yogurt, take this ghee, take this makhan, you please row the boat and take us across. He said, wait a minute, let me eat all this first. So then he eats that makhan and yogurt and ghee to his full satisfaction. And then he says, okay, now let's row. After a few minutes he says, my arms and legs are aching, please give me a nice massage. Otherwise we are not going further. So he lies down and all the gopis are massaging his legs and they are massaging his arms, and they said, okay boatman, come on now, get up. Then he takes his oar and then again he starts rowing. He says, no, there is too much weight in this boat. Throw all the pots out. These gopis are helpless. They are in the middle of the river. They cannot go back. They cannot go forward. Totally at the mercy of Krishna, who was a boatman, of course. They didn't know he was Krishna. This is the situation Krishna can put us in. He says, okay, throw all your pots. They threw all their pots. He said, no, still the boat is too heavy. Throw all your ornaments. Okay, Baba, we'll throw the ornaments. Few feet forward, you have to remove all your clothes and throw them. The boat is still too heavy. The gopi said, we'll throw you out of the boat now. And doing so, they charged upon him, and that time Srimati Radharani, she felt something pricking her, and that was the flute. And she pulled it out, and they understood this is none but Shyam Sundar himself. All night, they had beautiful pastimes. And there are many other pastimes which take place at Manasi Ganga. Govardhan is Krishna himself. We should not think that this is a hill or this is a stone. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally had a Govardhan Shila strung around his neck. It would be always moist with his tears. And that Shila, along with the Gunjamala, he gave to Raghunath Das Goswami. But none of us should ever take any Shila either as a souvenir or even to worship until and unless it is given to us by the spiritual master. Only then we can worship a Govardhan Shila. One day, Krishna and Balram, they came back from the forest and they saw a lot of activity. They saw many things happening. Gopas are running from here to there, carrying things and making some arrangements. So they asked, what's going on? What's happening? Krishna asked Nanda Maharaj, what is happening? He said, son, we are making preparations for Indra Puja. So we will do that as we do it every year. It is something that we have been doing for many generations. Krishna said, what is this Indra Puja? Is it something which is authentic? Or is it something that you have been doing just because you have been doing it for so many years? Nanda Maharaj thought that he is a small boy, he will not understand what I am saying. So he said, oh, we have been doing it and we need rains. We have to please Indra. So we have been performing this sacrifice. Krishna says, no, you please explain this to me in detail. Don't try to hide it from me. I am a part of your family, you must tell me everything. Nanda Maharaj tries to explain, and Krishna said, what is the need to worship Indra for this? He is only a demigod. And there are two reasons why we should not worship. First of all, what they give is very temporary. Secondly, even what they give is not what they can give from themselves. They have to get it from the Lord. So he says, Baba, I think instead of worshipping Indra, we should worship Govardhan. Nanda Maharaj was horrified. He said, what? You have been doing this for so many years and now, okay. If you are saying so, today let me do this Indra Puja, some other day we will do Govardhan Puja. Krishna said no. Because in his heart, he wanted to teach Indra a lesson. Indra is not a demon. He is a devotee. But he had become proud. He had become puffed up. So Krishna thought, in his own interest, I should teach him a very good lesson. So he told Nanda Maharaj that this very paraphernalia which you have gathered over here, we should take it to Govardhan. And from these ingredients, we should make large quantities of sweets, large quantities of savories, rice, dal, sabji, halwa, pakwan, mithai, whatever else you can think of. And these huge quantities, we should offer it to Govardhan. Call all the Brahmanas, They will chant the Vedic hymns. They will perform the yagyas, decorate the cows, give them beautiful grass to eat, and then all of us, we will just circumambulate this beautiful hill. And in this way, all our needs will be fulfilled. Why do we have to worship Indra? Nanda Maharaj and the senior Gopas could never win an argument with Krishna. In fact, they did not even try to argue. They would just do what he says. So this time too, he said, okay. We will just do what you say. And they did exactly what he said. They prepared his huge quantities of bhoga. They decorated the cows with beautiful silken garments and golden and silk and silver hooves and horns. The Braj Gopis, they decorated themselves very nicely and they went on bullock carts. And this beautiful celebration of Govardhan Puja, which is also known as Annakut, was performed. And lo and behold, what happened? Govardhan took the form of a gigantic Krishna and he accepted the entire offering. He had these two huge arms which he was devouring everything. And he was asking for more, Aniyor. And the devotees would prepare more and more and more. And then all the prasad was again in front of them. Krishna was there in the form of Govardhan and he was there in the form of a baby Krishna, and in that form he paid obeisances to Govardhan. It was such a beautiful festival. All the Brijabasis, they circumambulated the chandalas, the dogs, the dog eaters. Everyone was given sumptuous prasad. The Brahmanas were given so many gifts. And after this beautiful festival, everyone was happy and they went back home. But one person was not happy. And that was Indra. When he saw that the Brijabasis, at the instance of this 7-year-old talkative boy, have stopped that puja which they were supposed to do for him, and instead of that, they have performed the puja of a hill, he became very angry. He said, I will teach these Brijabasis a lesson. Because they are so opulent, they have become very proud. Look who's speaking. So out of his pride, Indra thought that he will be able to annihilate the devotees of Krishna. So he ordered his clouds. He has different varieties of clouds. When some clouds have to give some rain on some field, it's a different cloud. When it has to give some water in the ocean, it's a different cloud. So he called for those clouds which are generally engaged by him for devastating the entire creation. When it is time for Mahapralaya, where everything is just covered by water everywhere and you can't see anything else except water everywhere. So naturally, to get that much water, you need such clouds that will bring such water. So he has these special Samantaka clouds. He ordered them. He said, come on, go over the Brajabhumi and inundate the entire area. Generally, when we see rain, it comes in drops. Sometimes we see it in little heavy drops maybe. But the rain which comes from these clouds, it's like, each drop is like an elephant. And such drops, they pour down. And they don't come alone. They come with screeching, icy cold winds and thunder and lightning. Indra was personally supervising this. He was sitting on his elephant Airavat and he was chasing these clouds. Go, go! The clouds had to follow the order of Indra. He is their master. So they were performing their duty. And as soon as it started raining, the Brajavasis, poor things, especially the cows with the small baby calves, there was a flood, instantaneous flood. What could they do? So they went and approached Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, Mahabhaga. Whenever they are in trouble, their only recourse is Krishna. They cannot think of anything else. And each time they approach Krishna, Krishna has always taken care of his devotees. They said, please help us. Indra has become angry and is pouring this rain. Krishna said, so what? Don't worry. Just follow me. And by his Achantya Shakti, as he was walking, he was not touched by a drop of rain. Nor were the devotees who were following him becoming wet. He walked up straight to Govardhan and lifted Govardhan as if a child lifts up a mushroom or as if an elephant lifts a lotus flower with his trunk. Krishna Bhagavan ki! And while he was holding this huge mountain as an umbrella, he is inviting all the devotees. He is saying, come, come, please come. I will protect you. Friends, in your family or in your society building, a 7-year-old boy says, uncle, uncle, I have learned driving. Come sit in my car. Don't worry, there will be no accident, uncle. Come, I know how to drive. How many of us would sit in that car? Huh? And this 7-year-old is lifting a huge mountain and saying, come, come, don't worry. Arey, what if this mountain falls on us? At that time, friends, this is a very, very important point that Jiva Goswami is making in Gopal Champu. He is saying that at that point the Brijavasis went under the Govardhan as a service to Krishna. Can you imagine? They did not consider their own risk. It was risky, isn't it? If it happens today, would you go? Under a mountain held by a 7-year-old boy. But they did not even hesitate for a moment. If Krishna is saying, come, come. This is their surrender to Krishna. As a service to Krishna, they all went under the mountain, not thinking because they will be protected from the rain, but because they wanted to please Him. Once they went, they were all together. All the gopis, the gopas, the elderly gopis, the elderly gopas, the cows, the calves, the peacocks and their bullock carts, everything was under that beautiful hill. And little Krishna just held it up on the little finger of his left hand. Under that, mountain, many beautiful pastimes took place. Mother Yashoda, she was chastising Krishna. You impudent boy, you never listen to anyone. Look what you have done. Unnecessarily you have instigated and upset Indra. And look, everybody is here under these circumstances. Madhumangal says, Mother Yashoda, this is not a difficulty. This is fun. We are all here and this is fun. And he says, actually, Krishna is enjoying it. For him, this is just another play. He is not feeling the pressure of Govardhan on him. And Krishna says, Mother Yashoda, I am not lifting this Govardhan, it is just floating in the air. Madhu Mangal says, it's actually my Brahmanical potency which is holding the Govardhan in the air. And at that time, some of the gopis are thinking, remember all that makhan he ate in our house? The Shakti is coming from that makhan. That is how he is able to hold this Govardhan in his hands. And while these pastimes are going on, Mother Yashoda says, Krishna, you must be very hungry. I have brought some yogurt and some cake. Madhu Mangal says, yes, I am also hungry. Please, let's have it. In the meantime, Krishna carries his flute in the right hand, holding Govardhan in his left hand, and he starts playing the flute. Madhu Mangal says, please stop playing that flute. We know what happens when you play the flute. The mountains, they turn into rivers. What if Govardhan melts and it becomes a river? What will happen to all of us? If it comes into ecstasy, it will start dancing on the tune of your flute. Please stop playing the flute. Another elderly Brijavasi, he saw that Krishna was from the corner of his eyes throwing his glances at Srimati Radharani. So he is telling the other gopis, please be careful. Don't allow Krishna to see Radharani, because if he loses his concentration, the Govardhan will fall on us. But somehow Krishna did get a glance of Srimati Radharani and he started perspiring. And the gopas thought he's perspiring because the Govardhan is too heavy for him to hold. So all of them, they held the sticks to support the Govardhan. Madhu Mangal is saying, why are you scratching the bottom of the Govardhan? It is of no help. my friend is strong enough, he will be able to hold it. While this was going on under the Govardhan, it went on for 7 days and 7 nights, 24/7, continuous. Generally, Ma Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj would get to be with Krishna in the morning. During daytime, the Gopas would get his association, and sometimes in the evenings the gopis might, get a glance of him. But in this beautiful festival, everyone was having a 24/7 darshan of Krishna. They were just glued, their eyes were glued on taking his darshan, just as a chakora bird looks at the moon. And in this particular position, whether the entity was in Shantaras, Vatsalyaras, Madhuryaras, Sakyaras, everybody was fully satisfied. And everyone thought that Krishna is looking only at me. He's Rasraj. He can give satisfaction to all at the same time. And what was happening on top of the hill? Lightning, thunder, storm, icy cold winds, heavy torrents of rain. But the deers were grazing on the grass on top of the Govardhan. Nothing happened to them. The grass which is on the Govardhan, nothing happened to it. The trees on the Govardhan, nothing happened to it. Because they were in touch with the little finger of Krishna. Not even a speck of dust was washed away on top of Govardhan by the heavy rains which Indra was showering on them. Just as there was a lightning and shower going on the top, at the bottom, the blue form of Krishna was just like a monsoon cloud. His yellow dhoti was like a lightning. And these beautiful pastimes which are going on, they gave so much satisfaction to all the Brijavasis. The elderly gopis, they were showering their blessings on Krishna. His friends were cracking jokes with him. Rohini and Mother Yashoda, they were trying to massage his arms in case he has become tired. They were saying that this Govardhan must be very heavy and you may not be able to carry it. Krishna said, I am having fun. At the end of this, when the 7 days were over, the clouds ran out of water. They had no more water in them. So they had to go back to Indra and tell him that we are sorry, but this is the best we could do. In between, Indra was sending his spies, go and see what is happening. So these spies, because they wanted to, please the master, because they would go around and they said, oh, we can't see anybody. Everything is finished. With your thunderbolt, everything is turned into ashes. And with the heavy rains, all those ashes are also washed out. There is not a single Brijavasi left now. Little did they know that everybody was under the Govardhan. So when Indra saw that the clouds have no more water in them and there is a sun shining, he understood. He understood that he has made a very big mistake. So he approached his spiritual master, Brihaspati. Brihaspati said, I can't help you. Go to Brahma. Brahma said, you have to beg forgiveness from Krishna, but please don't go alone. Take with you somebody who is very dear to Krishna. So he thought that who could be more dear to Krishna than cows? So he approached Mother Surabhi. Surabhi said, Indra, you have definitely committed a big mistake, but I will come with you. I will come with you. You go and pay your obeisances and beg forgiveness, and I will also come and help you. So Indra, he goes to Krishna and he says, I am so sorry, I tried to create trouble for your devotees, but now I have realized my mistake. Krishna said, I actually did it only for your benefit. You had become very proud, so I had to teach you a lesson. And now that you have learned your lesson and you are asking for forgiveness, I will forgive you. At that time, Surabhi comes and he says, you have saved generations of cows who are all my descendants. You are the true Indra. You are the true king. So I would like to perform an abhishek for you. So Surabhi, with her ambrosial milk, she performs a beautiful abhishek for Krishna. Indra gets the celestial Ganges, Akash Ganga. Airavat brings it and he pours it on Krishna. And with this beautiful, beautiful abhishek of milk and the Ganges water, a pond was formed, and that is today known as the Govind Kund. At this place, at Govind Kund, this abhishek was performed, and a beautiful, beautiful puja. In this puja, there were various items which were brought by different demigods. Lord Brahma, he came to perform the arati. Varuna, he offered the celestial umbrella. Vayu acted as the chamara. Agni offered the incense and the ghee lamp. Chandra offered beautifully decorated mirror. Lord Shiva, he came to give his blessings. And with the permission, the wives of the 7 rishis, the chaste ladies, they performed this arati. Panchajanya, he came to blow the conch shell. Sudarshana, he illuminated the area. Krishna's club, Kaumudika, it protected the area all around. Rivers personified came in front and they offered their water. The Vedas personified, they came and sang the hymns. Garuda spread his wings as a canopy. The Nagas, they held at the hoods like flags. And Airavat came with the Akash Ganga. Apsaras were dancing. Gandharvas were singing and playing the music. And at such a time, they coronated Krishna, put a crown on his head, and called him Govinda. After some time, all the demigods, they left. Friends of Krishna came looking for their cows, and suddenly they saw Krishna sitting on this seat and this beautiful paraphernalia lying around. Beautiful chamaras, beautiful arti paraphernalia. So they started picking up and playing with that and started doing the same thing to Krishna. Somebody is playing with the chamara, somebody is playing with the peacock fan, somebody is playing with the arati and having fun. No rules were observed in doing this. They were just doing out of love for Krishna. When the demigods saw this, they felt ashamed. They said, how much love these young coward boys have for Krishna. Only if we had one small speck of that. And they started showering flowers from there. In a few minutes, Nanda Maharaj came there. And he asked, what's going on here? Madhumangal said, see all these beautiful things? They were just lying here. We came here looking for our cows and we found them here. And when I came here, there was this big cow who was talking to Krishna. And Sridhama said there was one man with 1,000 eyes all over his body and he was paying obeisances to Krishna. And there was another man with 4 heads and there was another man with 5 heads. They were all gone. And they left this behind. So Nanda Maharaj could not believe what these young boys were saying. And then there was a Akashvani from the sky which said, Nanda Maharaj, we have coronated Krishna as Govinda. Now you also please coronate him as the king of Braja. So at that time, Mother Yashoda, she performs the Aratik. And the residents of Braja, they are so happy in performing this wonderful celebration. After this was over, the Brijavasis started talking amongst themselves. This happened every day. Every day Krishna and Balaram would go and kill some demon, and then there is a place which is known as a Nanda Baitak. At Nanda Baitak, they would all come together in the evening and they'll say, oh, this is the wonderful pastime which Krishna has performed today. And everybody would say, oh, we wonder how can Krishna is such a small boy, how is he doing all these things? And then Nanda Maharaj would, laugh it out and say, no, that's all right, he's a little boy. Somebody would say, he must be a yogi. He must be having some very, very mystical powers. Nanda Maharaj says, yogi? He can't control his tongue every time he wants to eat butter here, butter there. What sort of a yogi is he? They said, no, then he must be some very, very strong person. He said, strong person? When it rains and there is lightning, he runs to his mother's lap and hides there because he is afraid of that lightning. He is a small boy. He is just my son. And they would laugh it out and the whole thing would just, go on to the next day. I think we'll have to end here. Srila Prabhupada ki, Giriraj Maharaj ki. We'll now circumambulate